that I haven't seen yet. Oh, you're so woke, at least you think you are. You're microdosing acid in your new electric car. You're microdosing acid, you're just picking at the star. You should probably tell the stranger everything you have to say. Appropriate some culture, learn to shut your mouth. You're playing with these Yankees, but you're from the dirty South. You're playing with these Yankees, but you're from the dirty South. Oh, 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 now trigger. Oh, 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 down good boy. Oh, 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 now trigger. You are not a child, this man is not a toy. You are not a child and this man is not a toy. That I haven't seen yet. Oh, you're so woke, at least you think you are. You're microdosing acid in your new electric car. You're microdosing acid, you're just picking at the star. You should probably tell the stranger everything you have to say. Appropriate some culture, learn to shut your mouth. You're playing with these Yankees, but you're from the dirty South. You're playing with these Yankees, but you're from the dirty South. Oh, 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 now trigger. Oh, 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 down good boy. Oh, 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 now trigger. You are not a child, this man is not a toy. You are not a child and this man is not a toy. You are not a child and this man is not a toy. Oh. That I haven't seen yet. Oh, you're so woke, at least you think you are. You're microdosing acid in your new electric car. You're microdosing acid, you're just picking at the star. You should probably tell the stranger everything you have to say. Appropriate some culture, learn to shut your mouth. You're playing with these Yankees, but you're from the dirty South. You're playing with these Yankees, but you're from the dirty South. Oh, 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 now trigger. Oh, 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 down good boy. Oh, 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 now trigger. You are not a child, this man is not a toy. You are not a child and this man is not a toy.
Before we begin, we'd like to say that in our opinion it is not suitable for children or for those of you who may have a nervous disposition.
Go get the belt.
Hello and welcome to The Raw Show. It is Thursday night. We've got Israel, we've got Palestine, but more importantly, left-wing comedians are upset with trigonometry. Again, we've got so much to talk about, don't we, Francis?
Yeah, they one of them but did a little post up, and bear in mind, right, I bumped into him in I can't remember where it was, and then he came up to me, was super friendly, and I was like, oh, I'm really sorry I can't talk, but look, it's lovely to see you, well, and blah blah blah. Then he went online when he found out how many subscribers he went, why am I not successful?
Anton, let's get straight into it before he deletes the post because he's getting wrecked in there. Let's have a look at this beautiful stuff. You lot don't believe us when we tell you comedians, left-wing comedians call us far right. You're about to be exploring a whole new dimension of humanity right here. So there's Paul. He says, I've just seen how many people subscribe to Triggernometry on YouTube. He's talking about you bigots. If anyone needs me, I'll be in the deep hole of despair.
Lovely.
Where he has been since childhood.
Absolutely. And I mean, no, that's unfair. The despair is what the audience are feeling when they see his jokes.
And Pirate Tomsky says, one share, lol. Yeah, we shared it to our page. And no, Anton, come on, mate.
Come on,
there's a lot of scrolling to do here, mate. What are you playing at?
There's a lot of scrolling of trolling.
Keep scrolling. We don't need this. There's some stupid article some idiot wrote about me. There you go.
Here's why you needn't despair. It's highly subscribed because people who wouldn't go to normal comedy think they're saying things you can't hear anywhere else. They're not our crowd and never would have been. They're not even difficult members of our potential audience.
We're not going to read the 21 replies because it's people being morons, but Anton, keep scrolling. There's some great stuff in there. Abby Roberts is loving it. Selling paranoia to lonely white men. How do they do it? So you're the lonely white men, all the birds among you especially. And this is Ashley Hayden. Now,
and by the way, if you're black and Asian, you're still a lonely white man.
Exactly.
So just, especially because we do have female viewers who are of the black and Asian persuasion. Yeah. You're white men as well.
Yeah, so stay white, stay lonely.
Yeah.
And stay male.
Stay white, stay right.
Stay white, stay right, exactly. This is Ashley Hayden, a comedian who's never managed to make anyone laugh in the history of humanity. He had one joke that was mildly amusing, and this is what he says. He says, what always gets me with the growth of the far right,
which we are,
yeah, right, the Jewish far right particularly, right, is just how mediocre they are, says Ashley, a brilliant comedian. It's like seeing a black hole of beige, so mediocre and boring, it just seems to consume people.
Yeah,
there you are. Keep scrolling. I had a little comment. What if no one needs you? Good.
Yeah,
got like 40 likes, and then here the Cat Ford.
Yeah,
big fan of yours.
Yeah, yeah, lovely. Trigonometry makes me want to rip my own face off. I've watched a couple of episodes out of curiosity, and holy shit, it's spelled incorrectly. Yeah. It's not holy. It's not shit which has got holes in it. It's shit which has been blessed. It's like if Be Reasonable was hosted with complete credulity. I'm surprised they haven't started drinking their own piss. How do you know,
How do you know, mate?
How do you know? I might have done.
Yeah.
Might have been very enjoyable.
We went for the Brian Romero campaign. Yeah. Right? Maybe we adopted a few of the tactics.
Maybe
we'll drink each other's piss.
Yeah. Or maybe I've become an expert in nunchucks as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, while discussing the merits of the flat earth movement.
As the wonderful Greg the Baritone says in the chat, let's get some piss drinking in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get some urine drinking in the chat. Lovely. Let's scroll down.
Yeah. No. What about the flat earth movement? I'm surprised they haven't started drinking their own piss while discussing the merits of the flat earth movement. That's, guys, what we do on the show. We talk about the flat earth movement.
There we go.
And I think at this point we shared it to our page and people started coming in with some funny shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, mate.
Oh. See, Jamie, didn't believe us, did you, Jamie?
You didn't believe us, mate.
I always thought they were exaggerating when they said lefty comedians hated their content, given that they're centrist at best. But you've just vindicated them perfectly. Sorry, boys. I should have never have doubted you. Hashtag let the tears flow.
Yeah.
Let's get some tears in the chat.
Let's get some tears.
Someone has just posted a meme of Donald Trump triggering someone. Excellent. What else is going on?
Yeah.
You've obviously never watched the interview, everyone. Oh, Oliver Fiske basically posted everyone's reaction to this.
It's weird, isn't it? How they only speak for a tiny, bigoted minority of people and have hundreds of thousands of followers, and yet you and your righteous colleagues speak for the vast majority of humanity and can't make a living from comedy. It's a real head scratcher.
Destroyed with facts and logic. Anton, keep scrolling. Alistair Becker King, who actually is a good comedian, very left-wing, but is a good comedian, says, wow, loads of lads who no one is friends with suddenly found the post at exactly the same moment. And what a witty bunch they are. And Anton, if you click on the replies, there was someone who posted a very funny reply that made me laugh a lot.
Let's see what he said.
Can you see the replies?
I don't think you can.
Oh.
Okay, scroll down.
Anyway. That's it. Well, anyway, someone replied saying, we may not have any friends, but we do know your mum.
You missed actually the best part of it, which was Kate Smurthwaite.
Yeah.
Kate Smurfite was brilliant. She was talking about freedom of speech. She said that she delivered a speech at a right-wing think tank.
Yeah.
Despite saying all before.
It's probably a left-wing think tank,
Yeah.
but it's right-wing for her.
Yeah. But if it is a right-wing think tank, she thinks all right-wing people are Nazis. Cognito ergo sum. You're in the pay of Nazis, Kate. But we won't labour on that point. My favourite was she was like, the highlight of the entire night was when my boyfriend threatened to punch Douglas Murray. So basically, you're on the side of justice and morality, whilst your boyfriend threatens to assault somebody.
The gay man.
A gay man.
Homophobic hate crime.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, it
in
is.
the making.
Yeah.
Anyway, now you see what we're dealing with on a daily basis and the world from whence we come. But anyway, we have so much to talk about tonight. We've got good news. We've got even better news.
Yeah.
Right? Don't we?
We've got loads of good news.
Israel and Palestine. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Francis,
it's all kicking off.
I did say on Twitter yesterday that basically no one knows what's going on, so everyone should shut the fuck up. However, you do know.
I do know what's going on.
What do you reckon? How do we solve the Middle Eastern crisis, Middle Eastern peace process?
MMA, mate.
MMA.
What we do is we take it back to David and Goliath times.
Yeah.
Big one of them, big one of the other.
Well, one of them was very small.
Well, yeah.
And he had a slingshot.
And he had a slingshot,
But he was
absolutely.
very small.
Yeah, but metaphorically, big dude, right? One of theirs, one of ours, or whatever, and put them together, see who wins, bingo.
You just think it should be one man?
One man.
One man, one mission.
One man, one mission.
Interesting.
I think, look, let's be fair, right? You're going to laugh at me for this, but they've tried every other fucking solution. It hasn't worked.
Yeah. So just naked wrestling.
Naked wrestling.
Yeah.
And then stream it on pay-per-view via Grindr.
Yeah.
That'd make a shit ton.
That'll make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And could solve the peace process as well.
And could solve the peace process as well.
There we go.
And also, there'd be a lot of very angry religious men on both sides who would feel some stirrings of things that they'd feel uncomfortable with.
Well, Francis, I think there's only one way to spice this up.
What's that?
It should be birds.
Exactly. Birds. But, Pirate Tomsky, we could solve the Middle East crisis with some decent biscuits. Mate, I think it's gone beyond biscuits.
Yeah, it's beyond biscuits at this point.
And I never thought I'd say that, Pirate Tomsky. It is beyond biscuits.
Harris1292 with a 5 says, so the ginger deleted his comments but said you invited him on the show. He declined because a portion of your fan base are dickheads. True or false? It is true, but he actually didn't say that. He was even more deceitful and dishonest about it. What he said is we invited him on the show, and what happened was I invited him on the show saying, look, you're very critical of what we do. Why don't you come on our show and tell us what you disagree with? And he said, he didn't say that you lot are dickheads. He said he would be unsafe. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said he would be unsafe. In other words, if he came on Trigonometry and said the wrong thing, he would be attacked, assaulted physically.
Really?
Yeah, that's what he said.
What by Anton?
No, well, not sexually, just assaulted.
But you know, Anton and him have got a lot in common.
What?
Anton's a veggie, he's a vegan.
Yeah, it's true.
And Anton was showing Poon Poon his vegan butter yesterday. That's not a euphemism, by the way, right? It's a true story. Am I making it up, Anton?
To be honest with you, mate, I'm not sure which is more disgusting,
Yeah.
euphemism or a vegan butter.
Yeah. Am I making this story up, Anton? No. Exactly. So actually, him and Anton could bond.
They could. But anyway, what he actually said is he would be unsafe. And when I explained to him that we've had Tony Blair's former speechwriter, Lord Andrew Adonis, George Galloway, Paul Embry, a bunch of other lefties, Roger Hallam of Extinction Rebellion, all of these people, he just called me a twat or a prick or something and stopped talking to me.
Okay.
So he would be unsafe because you lot are violent.
There we go.
There you go. Stop attacking people.
Michael B, $5. Saw Andrew Sullivan retweeted you guys. Congrats. Maybe you'll get him on. Also, don't forget to ask Dougie Murray about mental health next time he's on.
Well, we might ask him live. Who knows? News coming soon.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens.
Maybe Kate Smith's boyfriend's going to be there.
Oh, absolutely.
Or girlfriend.
Yeah.
Whoever.
You know, and if he does threaten to assault, what I could do is burst into tears.
Yeah.
Say I've just witnessed a hate crime.
Yeah.
Tweet about it.
Yeah.
Get millions of retweets. People will pile in going, oh my God, are you okay? And I'll be like, I don't know. I just don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And then I can milk that for a few weeks.
Can you imagine if that guy did come on our show and then Junebug was just assaulting him physically, just a young black woman Just beating up Alistair Becker King live
Sounds
on air.
marvelous.
Yeah, I'd pay to see that.
I'm joking. It doesn't sound marvelous. We don't condone violence at Trigonometry.
Unless it's by Junebug.
No.
In which case, we absolutely condone it.
Or the destruction using facts and logic.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we condone. Everything else, it's a big no-no.
Yeah. A lot of people say they would pay to see that. I think we should make it happen, really.
Yeah. Bashabi, is it time to send in Blair, the world's most successful peace envoy?
Well, we're going to talk about Tony Blair a lot today on the Raw Show because Tony Blair, in my opinion, is signaling the turning of the tide. And we'll talk about it in a second. Let's catch up on those super chats and then we'll talk about it.
Mr. Twister, enjoying today's Trig Raw as Paul and myself, a large frosty mug of piss. Love you guys. Yeah, look, that's what we do here.
Yeah.
You know, Anton and I like nothing better after a hard day's work to sit down and swap each other's piss. Not Konstantin, because he's been to different places which we don't approve of. I mean, listen, it's a delicacy.
Francis, some people are having dinner, mate. Some people have got us on TV in front of their family. What are you doing?
Well, they should have known what they bought into. Listen, it's a delicacy in Liverpool, and he's brought it over here, haven't you?
No,
exactly.
Disgusting. Anyway, thank you very much. JS with £2 says, unsafe like Douglas Murray and Smurthwaite's boyfriend. Exactly.
But look, it's fine if you viciously assault somebody, right?
As long as you have the right opinions. That's the most important thing.
Douglas doesn't have the right opinions.
No.
Therefore, he deserves it.
Exactly.
That's how they think.
He has it coming.
Yeah, he had it coming.
Ogrods with a tenor says, I watched Politics Live today. Jeff Norcott was on. Baroness Chakrabarti was also on. Looks as though she has turned yellow. Jaundiced, like her political views. Well, Jeff is doing very well. I hope you enjoyed the interview we did with Jeff. He's one of our favorite guests.
Yeah, we love a bit of Jeffy.
Yeah.
He's great.
Jeffy's
my name for him.
Yeah, well, if he didn't have wrist problems in both wrists, he would knock you out.
Yeah, I know he would. But he does, so he can't.
No,
hence his name is going to be Jeffy.
Yeah. Jeffy.
Yeah. Listen, actually, look, whilst we're here, let's talk about the Jeffrey Norcott episode.
Shall we?
Let's talk. Let's bloody talk about it.
I mean, one of my favorites. I love Jeff so much. I get on with him very well. I really enjoyed opening for him on tour when he was on his last tour. He's very, very funny. He'll be super funny on his upcoming tour. So if you get a chance, make sure you go and see him. And he's just great. And, you know, the thing is, well, he's not like extremist about stuff. I really like that. And by the way, those of you who on Locals, you would have seen that we put out some special questions. We talked about male mental health, and he had a really cool take on it and some other things. It was really, really good. Did you enjoy it, Francis?
I absolutely love the episode. To me, there are certain episodes, right, where you sit there and look, it's a great bit of content, but it needs a bit of work. You've got to take them down certain routes. You know, some things work, some things don't, whatever else. Jeffy, you sit him down, you put a mic on him, you have a bloody good chat for an hour and 10 minutes. It feels like talking to a mate, because it is.
Yeah.
And then you put it out, and it's blinding. It's great. And actually, Poom Poom watched it. Progressive left winger, loved it.
Yeah.
She commented two things. One, she goes, you can tell he's a lovely man.
Yeah, he is.
And number two, she went, you should be friends with him. You're very similar to each other. You both have horrible taste in clothes. She hates those polo necks. I fucking love them.
I agree.
Right. And number three, she goes, you should be friends with him. Maybe then you'll have at least one comedian who'll be your friend.
I am friends with Jeff. You should be as well.
Yeah, we should be.
756546 is the PIN code to Francis' bank account.
Yeah. And you can drain all £6.38 of it. Enjoy it.
We loved a bit of the Jeff. Jamie Hayes with a tenner, though, says, regarding your Posey Parker interview reaching 1 million, what do you think Dr. Grossballen? Dr. Grossballen.
Is it Dr. Grossballen?
Would be on if Minitroop hadn't memory holded. Also, sorry again for doubting you lads, lol. What an absolute soy boy that guy is. He is a bit. You know what? I don't actually, you know what? For me, it's not personal with any of these people. The guy, I wish him all the best. I don't want anyone.
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, but I don't give a shit about him. I think it's the mentality of these people, and they're so blinded by their own moral righteousness and all their stupidity. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. They're comedians for the reason that no one loved them when they were kids. This is why they're left-wing, and this is why they're comedians. They're to be forgiven. Anyway, what would the Dr. Grossballen interview be? What do you reckon?
3 billion.
3 billion. You'd be on a few million for sure.
Yeah,
it was on a million when it got.
Was it a million when it got?
It was like 940,000 or something.
Yeah. And then that's when the bells started ringing at Trigonometry YouTuber Towers, and they went, "What's going on here?"
You must not allow the information to be in the public domain.
We must cancel it. All dissent must be silenced. Yeah.
Klaus Ferrara with a 5 says, "You are covering the LNR train announcement madness, I hope." Did you see this?
Oh, yes, I did see this. This is incredible. Anton, we'll crack through the super chats, but then bring it up when you've got a chance.
Did you put it in the chat?
No, I didn't.
Look, we'll just talk about it very briefly. Basically, the train conductor said over the intercom on the train, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls," and there was a non-binary person on the train who tweeted complaining, and the train company apologized.
Good.
And I wasn't even that surprised, were you?
No.
No, I wasn't really that surprised. Anyway, the world's getting ridiculous. We'll talk about it. Rab Bloomk has become a YouTube member. Welcome home, and thank you very much.
It's great stuff. Louise, thank you for all your continued work. Great discussion with Dr. Dina Macmillan.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Daniel Hannan could also be a fascinating guest to have on. Thank you very much, Louise.
He's an interesting guy, Daniel Hannan.
Yeah. Graham Turner, good lads. Don't let the barge stewards grind you down. Thank you.
Graham, thanks very much, mate. No. If it was grinding us down, we wouldn't be talking about it, to be honest. I enjoy it at this point because it just makes me laugh. The reason they're so angry is there's a lot of people who watch Trigonometry. That's the reason they're angry.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the biggest compliment that we could possibly receive. And the show, as we always say, it's called Trigonometry for a reason, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. People are going to like it. People are going to dislike it. And that's fine.
And when they're going to be dicks about it, we're going to make fun of them and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. And that's fine as well.
I feel sorry for these people more than anything.
I don't. Fuck them. Carl Miller with a 50 South African rand. No, it's Brazilian reales.
Oh, it's Brazilian real. Is it?
It's Brazilian reales. Here's my weekly bigger type from Brazil. Na 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 na.
Maybe we are everything they say we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Anton, you need to get a little skirt and start dancing like you're in the carnival.
Oh, I'd pay to see that.
Yeah.
So would Flopsy and Mopsy.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I wouldn't mind some love from you guys and the chat since it's my birthday. Let's get... I think he's a lobster fan. Can we get some shellfish, lobsters, prawns, anything like that in the chat for the wonderful Carl Miller with his 50 Brazilian reales that are worth about 3p? Let's get some shellfish in the chat.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday, Carl.
You are a gentleman, sir.
You are indeed.
Dennis Pedersen with a 50 Danish kroner. Multiculturalism clearly only works in theory, not in practice. If you put a dog and a cat in a small space, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, it depends on the cat and the dog, doesn't it? Multiculturalism doesn't work. Multi-ethnic societies can work as long as everyone has an overarching identity. This is something we've talked about for a long time. This is why we should all be reminded in this country that we're all British and we buy into that. In America, that's one of the great promises of America. It's a melting pot. People can come there and be an Italian American, a Venezuelan American, a Russian American, or whatever American. That's the beauty of these societies. And if it's done correctly, it's actually perfect. And that mix of people can be incredible for innovation, for drive, for creativity. All of those things are a positive byproduct of that. But it's got to be done in a way that everyone is integrated under one umbrella identity. And we've talked about this on the show quite a lot.
We have indeed. Thank you very
Dennis.
much. Big Bowser, I'm eating, and the only part that's put me off my food is the thought of being Kate Smurthwaite's boyfriend.
You'd be quite turned on by what happens in her bedroom, I'd imagine, Francis. I mean, she's not brown enough for you, but you know what I mean. The techniques and the styles of,
In order to quote the late, great Amy Winehouse, I'd rather have cat AIDS.
Sven Helga
Geheim.
with the 50 Norwegian kroner says, please show us more of the salty tears of lefties when you can. Satisfies a fetish. And thanks for inviting Patrick Moore. So here's another $5. Sven, thank you very much. We were supposed to interview Patrick today. Didn't happen. We'll find out when we can do the interview. But yes, you're giving away a few of the local secrets because those of you who are not aware, Francis, tell them what we do on Locals. Go on.
This is what we do on Locals. You get sneak previews of who we are going to interview, the guest is coming up, and then you get to put down your suggestions for questions.
We ask a couple of them.
And we pick the 2 best ones. They then get asked to our guests, and then they get uploaded onto Locals for Locals only content.
Yeah, supporters only content on Locals. So if you're not on there yet, go ahead and join there. And thanks very much, Sven, for the 50 Norwegian krona.
Super sticker, thanks, Dameron Cater. You're a good man. Mr. Winter, only 90s kids will remember Middle East escapades. Never found good counters to Christopher Hitchens' support for the Iraq War, but the current situation has me losing all hope. Death to keto. Anyway.
Well, I don't actually know. You know what? While I have a tremendous amount of respect for Christopher Hitchens, I did not follow all his commentary in the 90s. I don't know what his argument was for prosecuting the war in Iraq. I'd be interested to hear it.
Yeah.
I doubt that I would agree, to be honest. But I'm sure it'd certainly be interesting. I might even check it out when I have some time.
Yeah, check it out. And look, as well, we're looking at this with the benefit of hindsight, etc., etc. Charmed Superior, the UK turned blue. Conservatives, suck it up, lefties. Keep up the good work, gentlemen.
Well, Charmed Superior, we're all going to have to suck it up because 15 more years of Boris Johnson, if ever long, is going to be. I think he's going to impregnate every single woman in the country. We've talked about this in the past. That is my prediction. But I think once he gets there, I think he's open-minded enough to start going after the lads as well.
I think so as well.
You know, so you're gonna, whatever sex you are, you're going to get it.
You know what? Imagine when he starts on the brown and black.
He's going to get it.
The brown, brown and black ladies. That'd be very interesting. Mixed race kids go. I think that be very interesting.
It'd be great. Thanks, Charmed Superior.
Yeah. Here's $2 to buy Bitcoin and kill polar bears. Funny. Thanks, Musk.
So everyone's now having a massive meltdown about the energy that it takes to mine Bitcoin. Kimberly with a 5 says, yesterday listened to Dr. Macmillan and the Norco interviews back-to-back greatness, she says. I think you both are crushing it. But the more you crush it, the more the haters love to hate. Thank you. Kimberly, you are an absolute superstar. Thank you for supporting the show. We really appreciate it. And Linda sent us a £2. So all the straight white men who have no friends in the chat tonight. Moon Dreams here. She says, don't worry, lads. Lefties have to support Northern Irish people being violent to mainlanders. Very good. I hope you get involved. Well, I don't, actually. Not in that way. Susan as well has sent us 20. Look at it. Look at all these straight white men. What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Stop being straight and white and
lonely.
And lonely. We'll get to Susan's PayPal because it has... Oh, there it is.
Yeah, go on.
She says, check out Tony Heller on YouTube and realclimatescience.com. I think lots of people will be interested in what he has to say. If you dare to open that conversation, ha. Also, the dude who used to head up Greenpeace, can't recall his name. It's the only Patrick Moore who we were supposed to interview today, Susan. Anyway, I think we've had too many PayPals from white men.
Yeah, exactly. It's disgusting. Mr. Winter, members of the American and French army have publicly opposed their political leaders. Will the British military do the same? No. Be very interesting to see if Corbyn got elected if they had done that. That would have been an interesting one.
Yeah.
Steve York, if you watch what's happening in Palestine,
these are always funny.
Without having an angle, it's almost as if Israel have unironically turned into 1930s Germany. I suppose this makes me an anti-Semitic cancelled bigot.
Well, I was wrong. This one wasn't funny. Look, I honestly, and people get angry with me for saying this, I really don't know enough about it to comment. And I don't think most people do. It's just one of those things that people like to virtual signal about and pretend that it's very simple and there's an obvious solution. There really isn't.
Should we get somebody on to talk about it?
The problem with it is that you're not going to get anyone to talk about it who's going to be balanced about it. You're either going to get the pro-Israel person or the pro-Palestine person. You're not going to get a sensible breakdown. That's my worry. And if you were to do a debate, people would get super angry, and again, it wouldn't really be that
Make for great content.
Make for great content.
Just holding one back, you motherfucker. That'd be great.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciated the tenor.
Pirate Tomsky, when Boris comes, he screams, "Bendy buses!"
That's very good, actually.
We'll all experience it at some point. We will indeed.
I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. You're all going to get bummed.
Yeah.
We're all going to get bummed, me and everybody else.
Is he a big lad, Boris, as in tall, or is he short?
I don't know. It's Ryan Barkenhagen.
Barkenhagen.
Was it $50? So he's probably a descendant of all the scientists that went over there after World War II and made their rockets.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate the $50. We're obviously joking. Buy Anton a beer, though. Let's get some beers in the chat. Some free beers in the chat for Anton. Look, we'll buy him a beer. It's fine.
Yeah, mate. We're going to buy you some Fosters. Good quality beer.
Good quality beer. But let's get some beers in the chat for Ryan. Thank you very much for the $50.
This is from Countess Bathory. This is a cost of the zingy berry crackers I've eaten this week, thanks to you, bigots. I've never eaten so many dry crackers in my life.
They are good, aren't they, man? Oh, the zingy berry crackers are absolutely top level stuff. They're better than the cookies. Aren't they? Would you agree with that?
I agree. I don't think Francis does.
Anton agrees with me.
I like my cookies, man.
No, the cookies are great, but the crackers are even better.
Oh, just like
there's so much flavor, and they've got the little bit of like all the little
spiciness.
Herbs. Oh, beautiful. Thanks, Countess Bathory. Appreciate it. And yeah, the zingy berry crackers are incredible.
Mycroft, have you seen the Queen's speech proposal about fining cancel culture? More detailed than that, obvs.
Well, we've heard details about this, obviously, from Eric Kaufman and others that we've had on the show. So yeah, we'll look, there seems to be a turning of the tide, and this is what I wanted to talk about. Anton, let's talk about the great hero, the man that inspired all of us to hate politicians and the media, the one, the lovely, the only. It's Tony Blair.
I thought you were going to say Adolf.
No. Anthony, you know what? Sorry, hide this for a sec. My bad. I fucking despise Tony Blair. I despise Tony Blair. I don't hate him. I don't hate anyone, but I do despise him. I think the war in Iraq was based on a lie. It led to the deaths of at least 1 million Iraqis, to the deaths and wounding of many, many British, American, and other Western soldiers. I think it was a tragic mistake, and it was done on a lie for political reasons.
It also basically helped to destabilize an entire province, gave rise to, Al Qaeda, entire region, blah, 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 blah.
Then failure to introduce transitional controls and immigration from newly joined Eastern European countries. That was a huge mistake. And if you want to find out who actually caused Brexit, it wasn't David Cameron, it was Tony Blair, by allowing lots of people to come in a short period of time. That was a big mistake. I'm no fan of Tony Blair.
He also did a lot of good as well.
He also did do a lot of good. But those two things to me are completely unforgivable. However, in the last couple of days, Tony Blair, number one, he went on Good Morning Britain, which is now hosted by Alistair Campbell and Susanna Reid this week. He talked about wokeness on there, which was very interesting. And he said that wokeness is essentially destroying the Labour Party. And then he wrote an article in the New Statesman, which we rarely share articles from, which has got some interesting bits in it. Not all of it is necessarily what I want to talk about, but we're going to scroll through and read the bits that are interesting. So here's what he says.
Tony Blair, without total change, Labour will die. The Labour Party needs complete deconstruction and reconstruction. Nothing less will do.
And here's what he says. He says, the challenge facing Britain's Labour and Liberal Democrat parties cannot be overstated. Political parties have no divine right to exist, and the progressive parties of the centre and centre-left are facing marginalisation, even extinction, across the Western world. He goes on to talk about the different countries where left-wing parties are really struggling. France, Germany, and many other places.
Willy Brandt is a great name.
Yeah. Keep scrolling, Anton. We can scroll through the Joe Biden stuff. He does give Biden some praise for absolutely no reason that I can understand. Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. Says, even now, however, with the new president on a roll, his understated manner, blah, 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 blah. Skip through that. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. This isn't the bit that we want to talk about. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, cool. This is what we want to talk about.
The progressive problem is that in an era where people want change in a changing world and a fairer, better, and more prosperous future, the radical progressives aren't sensible and the sensible aren't radical. The choice is therefore between those who fail to inspire hope and those who inspire as much fear as hope. So the running is made by the new radical left, with the moderates dragged along behind, uncomfortably mouthing a watered-down version of the left's policies, while occasionally trying to dig in their heels to stop further sliding towards the alienation of the centre. The result is that today's progressive politics has an old-fashioned economic message of big state, tax and spend, which, other than the spending part, which the right can do anyway, is not particularly attractive. This is combined with a new-fashioned social cultural message around extreme identity and anti-police politics, which for large swathes of people is voter repellent. Defund the police may be the left's most damaging political slogan since the dictatorship of the proletariat. One for you.
Yeah.
It leaves the right with an economic message which seems more practical and a powerful cultural message around defending flag, family and fireside traditional values. To top it off, the right evinces a pride in their nation, while parts of the left seem embarrassed by the very notion.
He then goes on to talk about the fact that the major challenge we're facing today is technological change. We're facing the fourth industrial revolution, as people are talking about. And he then goes on to talk about how that, in his opinion, means that progressivism actually is exactly the right solution, which I don't agree with necessarily. But is this? Yeah. Keep scrolling, Anton. We don't need this bit. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. So he talks about technology, and this is what I want to focus on. He says, why do progressives find it hard to rise to the challenge posed by technological change? Why do they profess to see this challenge and then look past it for the place to focus their ideas and energy? It is for the same reason that it was so hard for Labour to abandon Clause 4 and the commitment to mass nationalisation in the 1980s and 1990s. It was a confusion of abiding values with outdated mechanisms, a failure to grasp the nature of the contemporary social and economic challenge, and a deep psychological reluctance to let go of an outdated past. It means discarding shibboleths. Shibboleths are things that you have to say and that you have to believe in order to be accepted into that worldview. This new world doesn't require a big state per se, but a strategic and active one, which is good at solving problems and good at promoting social inclusion and economic dynamism at the same time. It will challenge all those who don't adapt to change, including big business with a conventional centralized mentality, trade unions which can't get to grips with mobilizing workers in the new economy. A myriad of small firms and the self-employed will be central, not peripheral, to the future. He then talks about the fact that it will be the same with public services. Anton, keep scrolling. There we go. This is the money shot right here.
The thinking of the new left radicals across the West, which is really the rediscovery of 1960s Marxist-inspired left policy by a new generation, is largely redundant to answering the challenge. Public ownership of industry, free university tuition, much heavier regulation, all of these traditional solutions, as well as being politically challenging, will not materially impact people's lives in anything like the manner of technological change, and may be regressive if they reduce the power of social mobility and social aspiration. They seem radical because they come from a traditional left which presented them as such, but politically they are mostly now museum pieces, lingering relics of outdated ideology. It isn't that the traditional issues don't matter, it's just that they're second order compared with those accompanying the revolution. Of course, we have to determine levels of taxation and spending, appropriate regulation, and what the state does and doesn't do. And there will be political choices and trade-offs that democracy will decide. But all of these pale into insignificance beside the question of how we handle the all-encompassing vastness of the impact of modern technological change. So we can, and no doubt will require, more public spending on the NHS. But a bigger reform challenge is how we use technology to alter diagnostics, prevention, and public health.
Keep scrolling, Anton. He talks about all the other problems, essentially. They're all caused by technology, and the solutions come from that. Keep going. Okay, here we go. Just scroll up one bit. Precisely because a new younger generation are looking for radical policy, as every new generation does, and because they're not really finding it in an economic message which doesn't enthuse, so progressives have defaulted to issues around culture, gender, race, and identity. Handling these issues successfully is an equally great challenge for modern progressives. Keep scrolling. A large part of moderate progressive opinion simply wants to steer clear of these cultural and identity issues entirely. The moderates, often of an older generation, don't quite understand the strength of feeling over issues such as trans rights. They distrust their own senses and fear tripping up or saying the wrong thing, and so have come to a position which basically says, there is no culture war. In any event, we're not playing it. Or if there is, and we are forced to play, we will play at the back as quietly as possible.
I believe this is a mistake and merely reinforces a sense of being weak people who don't really stand for anything. And as I know from a lifetime in politics, however successful a leader you are, you don't always decide the agenda. You can decide the answer, but you can't always decide the question. Your political opponents have a say, and most importantly, so does the public. The right knows they're onto something on these cultural issues. They are reveling it and setting traps for the left all over the field, which the left is falling into one by one, or not. A key moment for Biden was when he comprehensively disowned defund the police while backing police reform.
Keeping your head down, says Tony Blair, isn't a strategy. There's a big cultural battle going on. Progressive folk tend to wince at terms such as woke and political correctness, but the normal public know exactly what they mean. And the battle is being fought on ground defined by the right because sensible progressives don't want to be on the field at all. The consequence of this is that radical progressives, who are quite happy to fight on that ground, carry the progressive standard. The fact that it ensures continued right-wing victory doesn't deter them at all. On the contrary, it gives them a heightened sense of righteousness, like a political kamikaze.
Progressive politics must disentangle this cultural question and get on to ground it can hold with public support. It isn't impossible, but it requires deep thought and political courage. Here are some principles around which such ground can be captured. People do not like their country, their flag, or their history being disrespected. The left always gets confused by this sentiment and they assume this means people support everything their country has done or think all their history is sacrosanct. They don't. But they query imposing the thinking of today on the practices of yesterday. They're suspicious that behind the agenda of many of the cultural warriors on the left lies an ideology they find alien and extreme, and they're instinctively brilliant at distinguishing between the sentiment and the movement. They will strongly support campaigns against racism, but they recall from some of the language and actions of the fringes of the BLM movement. You could go through the entire litany of modern causes and find the same, from Extinction Rebellion to trans right to reclaim the streets in the same way. People like common sense, proportion, and reason. They dislike prejudice, but they dislike extremism in combating prejudice. They support the police and the armed forces. Again, it doesn't mean that they think those institutions are beyond reproach, not at all. But they're on their guard for those who they think use any wrongdoing to smear the institutions themselves, and they expect their leaders to voice their own opinions, not subcontract opinion to pressure groups, no matter how worthy.
The correct course for progressives, he says, on culture questions is to make a virtue of reason and moderation. To be intolerant of intolerance, saying you can disagree without denouncing, i.e. cancel culture. To seek unity, to eschew gesture politics and slogans. And when they're accused of being insufficiently woke, essentially is what he's saying, which is inevitable, to stand up for themselves and make it clear they're not going to be bullied or pushed around. This will lose some votes among a minority with loud voices, but it will bind the solid but often silent center to them. And of course, it will allow the causes themselves to be effectively pursued, as the last Labour government did with its own revolution in gay rights and the pathway to equal marriage, and the forced conversion of the Conservative Party on this very issue.
The British Labour Party is the embodiment of this progressive challenge. Just 17 months ago, it went to the far left and suffered the worst defeat in the party's history. It has now replaced Corbyn, a classic protest politician, completely unsuited to leadership, let alone to governing, with Keir Starmer, Sir Keir, intelligent, capable, moderate-minded. He has taken a strong stand against the stain of anti-Semitism from the Corbyn era, being generally reasonable when opposing the government's handling of COVID-19, and looks and sounds sensible. But he's struggling to break through with the public, and last week's elections are a major setback. The Labour Party is now scratching its collective head and wondering why the replacement of an extremist with someone more moderate isn't achieving the miracle renaissance. It's even asking whether Keir is the right leader.
But the Labour Party won't revive simply by a change of leader. It needs total deconstruction, reconstruction. Nothing less will do. We'll end it there.
There we go.
What do you think of that?
I think he's absolutely brilliant. He's nailed it, and I would love to have him on the show.
I mean, I will invite him on, but I want to talk about this, right? Because look at some of the things that he said there.
Yeah.
He said that people on the left need to stop pandering to the woke
Mm-hmm.
and to the extremist fringe. He said that ordinary people don't like to have their history denounced and destroyed and misrepresented, even if they are not proud of every single thing that Britain has ever done.
Mm.
He's criticized BLM for being extreme. He's criticized Extinction Rebellion for being extreme. He's criticized the trans activism for being extreme, right? He's basically said that what's happening is sensible people are moving away from, sensible people on the left are unwilling to tackle the extremists on their side. And what then happens is the left is like a bus that is being driven by the woke now. And when people from the outside look at that bus, they go, well, I don't know who else is on the bus, but if the woke are driving it, I'm not getting on it, right? And the point he's making essentially is if people on the center left don't wake up, they're fucked. The party that they have at the moment, the Labour Party, will be destroyed. And I don't think he's wrong. Tony Blair is the only man alive who's ever got the Labour Party in this country elected.
It's true. But the thing is as well, I think a lot of them have woken up. They're just terrified. But
this is what he's saying. He's saying people need to speak up. And that's why I think this is a turning of the tide, because for Tony Blair to be saying this, that is significant. He has the respect and ear of a lot of people on the left. I'm not one of them, but actually, you know, I despise him for some of the things he did. It doesn't mean that I don't think he's smart. And I think he shows you in this article.
He achieved some remarkable things through his premiership. Peace process in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, Kosovo.
Yeah, investment in public services.
Yeah.
You know,
education.
But you know, I was watching some of his stuff on YouTube yesterday just for a bit of research. And I watched the first question, Prime Minister's questions that he ever did.
Yeah. Was he good?
As a Prime Minister in 1997. And you know what he's talking about?
What?
You know what the questions he's getting asked? Crime.
Yeah.
About being tough on crime.
Yep.
Drug addiction.
Yep.
Antisocial behavior. That's the things that the Labour Party used to talk about.
Yeah.
Tough on the crime, tough on the causes of crime.
Right? Yeah, because those are issues that affect working class people.
Right. And can you imagine the Labour Party as it is now talking about crime in those terms?
No, because the police are a symbol of right-wing oppression.
Exactly. So the Labour Party has changed. And I think what Tony Blair is saying is if we keep driving towards the cliff, eventually we're going to fall off it. And we're already hanging off it. That to me seems to be what's happening. That's why we spent a lot of time on this article, but I think it was important.
Look,
mark my words, that article is the beginning of something different.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, if not, then they'll cancel him.
Yeah.
He's an old white man.
Yeah.
He deserves to be pushed off a cliff. So this is from Graham Turner. You do realise that Boris may suffer from ED after long COVID, and that's why Carrie has control of him by hiding up his little blue tablets. Could well be. It's a good point. Thanks, Graham. Francis Foster.
Oh, there
he is. There is.
What is that photo, mate?
Mate, that is a photo of me
getting sucked off.
No, that is a photo of me enjoying some of Essex's finest good stuff. Go getting something that give you a little pep in your step, mate.
All right.
Anyway, the current Israel-Arab conflict is very complex, requiring a nuanced and introspective conversation that's not always comfortable.
That doesn't sound like Francis.
I can talk about it because I used to be a teacher and I know everything. Exactly. Correct, Francis.
Very good.
Next.
By the way, I should point out we're a quarter an hour away from 8 p.m. We have 1,600 bigots watching, which means getting to 800 likes should be a piece of piss. Let's get to 800 in the next 15 minutes, and then we will crack on with the show.
And by the way, when we say a piece of piss, the reason we're saying that is because at TRIGGERnometry, as was exposed in the beginning of the stream, we do actually drink our urine.
It would do.
Cheers.
Mr. Twister with the $5 Canadian says, have ordered a Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. Will be as slick and slippery as a dolphin in a few days. Thanks, lads. Well done, mate.
Absolutely. And to Anton, who uses it, and he's regularly in the toilet for about 2.5 hours.
Is he?
Yeah.
Great, man.
And then we got a complaint from...
Mate, he's got the Greek genes. He's like me.
Mate, we got a complaint from the next door neighbours.
He's got more hair than skin.
He has, mate. We got a complaint from the next door neighbour. Someone thought they'd found a gremlin in the sewer. Anyway.
Astralis Lupus, welcome home. Thanks for becoming a YouTube member.
Marvelous. Derner 1804. The reason for the conflict is that billions in aid goes through Hamas and the Palestinian Authority, which the leaders steal. No war, no aid money.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Well, I don't know.
Big Taffy's watcher with the 5 says, I don't care who wins in the Middle East. I just hope both teams have fun. Keep it up, bigots. Joining locals, well worth it, by the way. Well done, Big Taffy's watcher. You are going to enjoy even more as we roll out more cool stuff.
Stay York, on a lighter note, in honour of Gwyneth Paltrow's minge, great point, finally.
Finally, someone's talking about the big issues, Stu.
Yeah, I've hit my target of £36.50 and can now build my prototype knob cheese scented exploding ham sandwich, bird permitting. Birds love kitchens. They bloody do, mate. They do. They pretend they don't. They don't, but they prefer the trans stuff.
Yeah, birds love the trans
stuff. Oh,
they
do. Like I said before, and like I said on the last stream, it's their football. Do you know what I mean? They all sit down, they have a talk about it. Yeah. They talk about their favourite ones, which one they like, which one they dislike.
They love a bit of it, don't they? Anytime we have a guest on who pisses mum's nut off, we're like, let's get someone on to talk about the trans thing. That'll
that'll sort them right out. You know what I mean?
Birds love the trans thing. I mean, if there's one thing that we have discovered in all the history of trigonometry is birds love the trans.
They do.
They do.
They absolutely adore it.
They love it.
They love it. Anyway, JS, immigration.
Yeah, I think that's a parody of education. It's a good, like I prefaced the reading of the article by talking about how Blair fucked up immigration. So don't worry, we know.
Next, Lawrence Pierce. Northern Ireland peace process was started by Thatcher and continued by Major. Blair inherited it once it was underway. Yes, he did. However, I think we can all agree, and particular, the late Mo Molan did an absolutely sterling job.
Do you know what Tony Blair said when he was announcing the Good Friday Agreement?
No.
He said, this is not a moment for sound bites. And then he paused, and then he went, but I feel the hand of history upon our shoulders. He was a charismatic speaker, Blair. You have to give him that.
Yeah, very good speaker.
That's how he could lie us into an illegal war. Semaj Lucian with the $5 and some text.
I think he's a bit pissed, mate.
He is a bit pissed because his Russian is terrible. But he says, guys, you are wonderful. Thank you for the laughs at the moment. And then he says, God bless you.
Thank you.
Semaj Lucian, thank you for the $5. We appreciate it.
Next.
Gareth has also sent us a PayPal. Let's see what he's saying this in his Irish accent. Gareth Murray with the £2. With reference to comparing Israel to Nazi Germany, it may not make you anti-Semitic. However, it certainly does make you a complete dick. Good point. Well made, Gareth.
Excellent.
Well done, my lad.
Yeah. Very, very nice.
Yeah, someone in the chat is saying grope the like button. That's what we want to see.
Absolutely.
We are on 660 upvotes. That means we have 10 minutes to get another 140. So get smashing. In the meantime, Francis, what should we talk about?
We have got absolutely bloody loads to talk about.
Yeah?
We do indeed.
Do we?
Yes, we do. Let's talk about your alma mater.
Edinburgh University.
Yes.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
What are they doing now?
Oh, there's a bit of issue with free speech.
Oh, is there?
Oh, yes.
That can't be true. There's no issue with free speech in this country. It's all a right-wing myth. Edinburgh University boss told to quit in free speech row. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's find out what's going on. Senior academics, Edinburgh University, have called on their principal to resign, claiming that he sacrificed free speech to placate a small group of political zealots. No, that wouldn't happen at a university.
The university's decision to rename the David Hume Tower made headlines last year after activists highlighted discriminatory comments that the father of the Scottish Enlightenment uttered in 1742. Well, I just think that's brilliant.
Well,
look, if you're going to write something problematic on Twitter 300 years ago,
what do you expect?
Then you need to be able to deal with it.
You're going to be rightly called out.
Yeah, and cancelled. Good.
More recently, it launched an investigation into the conduct of Neil Thin, a senior lecturer in social anthropology and a vocal opponent of the renaming decision, after students accused him of being racist, sexist, and problematic. So he was not only racist and sensitive, he was actually problematic as well.
Good.
The unrest comes as laws ensuring that student unions are legally obliged to protect freedom of speech are to be introduced in England. The legislation will make it easier for academic students and visiting speakers to take legal action against universities and student unions if they are gagged.
Academic figures of Edinburgh have called for Peter Matheson, the principal, to step down, claiming that he had allowed an intolerant and illiberal culture to take root. A senior figure said, "No principal in living memory has triggered such bad press for the university. He simply has to go." How could Scotland's greatest university have, I mean, that's Glasgow, but we'll skip over that.
Fuck off.
Have fallen so low to a position.
You should have said St Andrews.
Yeah.
There's some Glasgow's terrible.
It's good.
The Glasgow University is terrible.
Is it? That's where Andrew Neil went.
So what?
Yeah.
Still terrible.
No, it's not. He's biased. He just doesn't like it because there might be working class people in Glasgow. It makes him feel a bit weird.
Yeah, it does.
I
I have to work with them. It's really uncomfortable.
To a position where the core academic values of free speech, reasoned argument, and pursuit of truth cannot be publicly articulated and debated. I am ashamed of the place and particularly of its professional crucifixion of the noted anthropologist Dr. Neil Thin. He said something racist 150 years ago. Burn him. Burn the witch.
Thin had raised concerns about an event called Resisting Whiteness, which he branded segregation. Oh, he's describing it accurately. What a bigot. Members of Black Ed, a campus anti-racist group, actually a campus racism group, encouraged students to submit complaints against him, circulating a template letter to make it easier to register grievances. They accused him of holding discriminatory views. Thin strongly denied the claims. In
online comments, students branded Thin as a scumbag, a rape apologist, and a risk to student safety.
He has the wrong opinion. Student safety is very compromised.
Anyway, I think we know where it was going. So that's all happening at Edinburgh University. It's great stuff.
Yeah, there's no problem with free speech on college and university campuses. Remember that. It's an invention of the right-wing culture warriors who are creating a culture war because they don't believe there's 75 genders, and that makes them bigots.
Actually, having said that, there's somebody else who's got into problems with their tweet.
Really?
Oh, she got into problems, and we're bringing it up because, number one, she came out in favor of Israel.
Yeah, number two, she's a brown bird.
And number two, she is smoking. And I think we should absolutely listen to it. Look at that. Well, we should listen to
every. No.
Anton, what do you think, mate? Wonder Woman actress receives backlash over Middle East tweet. Let's see this. Scroll down. Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot has received a backlash online over a tweet about the escalation of violence in Israel and Gaza. The Israel actress and former Miss Israel posted, "Israel deserves to live as a free and safe nation," adding, "Our neighbors deserve the same."
Oh, you can't have that. No. Oh, no, cancel that. Unbelievable.
That's basically pedo talk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pedo talk. Yeah. Get rid of her. The comments attracted thousands of replies, now switched off, leading to her name trending on Twitter. In her youth, Gadot completed 2 years of mandatory military service. She should have just left. My heart breaks, the 36-year-old posted online. My country's at war. I worry for my family, my friends. I worry for my people. This is a vicious cycle that has been going on for far too long. You see this?
This is extremism right
This
here.
is Nazi shit.
You can't have this.
Nazi pedo shit.
I pray for the victims and their families. I pray for this unimaginable hostility to end. I pray for our leaders to find a solution so we could live side by side in peace. I pray for better days.
Good enough.
You can't have this.
You can't.
No, Anton, hide this. We can't. We might get deleted from YouTube for this. No, we can't have that.
No, it's vile.
It's disgusting.
Vile hate speech. Come round to my flat, love, and I'll give you some re-education. Michael B, $10. Interesting article, case study here in NYC. While London goes for Sadiq's NYC's front runners are
Andrew Yang and Eric Adams.
Yeah.
A tech bro and a former cop who's black and talks about crime. Twitter freaking out. Eric Adams is a very interesting character. Very interesting character.
Really?
Yeah, very interesting. He basically talks about, the Democrats have run New York so far into the ground and there's so much crime and all the things that are associated with crime, that even a Democrat like him, who's a black former police officer, is coming along and talking about how we need to crack down on crime, we need to be tough, we need to stop this happening, etc., etc., etc. He's being really like strong. So it would be interesting to see. Andrew Yang, I'm starting to go off him a little bit. But
Well, what did Yang Bang do?
Yeah,
That's gonna
Yang Gang.
No, it's Yang Bang.
Yang Bang.
I bet that's what you used to say to the ladies back in his college days. Do you want a Yang Bang?
Mate, Yang Bang is who you met in Thailand
Yeah,
when you went there.
marvelous lady. Very, very, very supportive of my needs.
Very progressive as well.
And very progressive. Anyway, passing resemblance to Michael Jackson, but doesn't matter. Andrew Potts became a YouTube member. Thank you, Andrew, and welcome. Do you think that was difficult for Blair to do, Bashabi?
I don't think Blair gives a shit anymore, really.
I think.
Plus, he wants to stay relevant, I think.
I think Blair has got safely what is called "fuck you" money. So I don't think Blair cares. I think he just went out and just went. Okay, Kalashnikov, you've had a lot of guests lately expressing objections to
porn.
Hands off my porn, you bigots. A lot of brown birds, though. FF must be in heaven. I am.
We are 16 likes away from continuing the show. So do smash the like button. You've got 3 minutes to do it.
No free speech when tuition fees are 9K.
Well, this is one of the things that I think has been a big influence on the education system, is the fact that if you're paying for something, you have higher expectations of it being more to your liking, right? If you get an education for free, you're happy to be getting it for free. If you're shelling out a lot of money, as these students are, going into debt, taking out student loans, you're going to expect it to be more of what you want. So it doesn't surprise me that a bunch of woke little minges are paying for stuff and expecting it to be woke.
Little woke minges.
Little woke minges, right? So it's to be expected. It is to be. Are you in favor of free education, free higher education?
Free higher education. See, it's a complex one, because the reality is universities are underfunded. I don't know. I'm in favor and support of giving the best students support in order to get to university, and I think we should subsidize people who come from deprived backgrounds, people who nobody in their family has been to a university before, people who show real academic promise. I believe we should encourage people to go to university. But I'm going to be honest with you, university isn't for everyone. Another mistake that Tony Blair made was him saying 50% of people should go to university. I remember Paxman saying to him, well, why have you come up with that number? Why not 49%? Why not 51%? Why have you come up with 50%? And he couldn't answer.
Should have said because it sounds good.
Yeah, which is why they picked it. Yeah. The reality is, a university should be for a minority. The rest of the people would be much happier, much better served, more well off.
Going to drama school.
Going to drama school where you just discover who you really are.
But see, I'm in favor of subsidizing education to a large extent. But am I in favor of subsidizing some twat doing a gender studies degree? Not really, right? I'm in favor of subsidizing degrees that give people the opportunity to kick on in life and to get a good job and whatever.
Yeah, but you see, then we arrive at what is the point of education, further education. Now, for a lot of people, like for instance, is it worthwhile to do an English degree?
Probably not. Well, I mean, just looking at you, probably not.
No, exactly. But seriously, like if you're going to do an English degree where you read the classics of literature, I would say that's a very enriching thing.
You might go into journalism, you might become an author, you might become all sorts of things.
Right. But the reality is...
Or you might go to drama school, then teach, then become a comedian, then become an online provocateur, and then co-host a show with me.
Exactly.
So that definitely isn't worth subsidizing.
No. But here's the thing. I think the vast majority of people will be better off not going to university, doing a vocational qualification, whether it's in something like plumbing or accounting, and it would be far more beneficial to them.
Yeah, but we've got Polish people to do that now.
Yeah, that is true. And they outwork us anyway.
Exactly. We are on 160 likes, so we're going to carry on. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying the show. James B with the £2.
Happy to pay for trade/STEM, no woke or poor only.
Agree.
Well, look, there's a lot of people like PwC, for instance, PricewaterhouseCoopers, have their own...
famous plumbing company.
Yeah, they are. Very good.
they're going to plumb your accounts until you've got nothing left.
Well, no, yeah, that is true. Have their own, not graduate program. I forget the word that they use.
Apprenticeship or whatever.
Yeah, where you go and then you become an accountant, actuary, whatever it may be, and you study that there and work there. And to me, that seems like a better route.
Agreed. James B, thank you for the £2.
Next, super sticker. Thank you very much, Sarah Hilliard.
Sarah, thank you. We appreciate it. And
that's it.
Oh, Francis, what should we talk about? Why don't you pick out a story for us to talk about? We've got so much on the list. There are so many things to talk about. You know what's annoying me about doing Raw right now? I really want to go and check on that left-wing comedian's post and see what else is going on.
Well, let me tell you about something.
Yeah, go on. Tell me.
I am
actually going to go and look at it.
Right. Do you think there are too many pale, male, and stale writers out there?
I don't really care what color writers are.
No, shut up. You're wrong. Stop being racist. We need to care in order to not be racist.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Let's find out.
And they've got an app for it, mate.
Do they? App to decolonize male, pale, and stale experts from degree reading lists. Yes. Finally, someone tackling the big issues that are going to revolutionize the lives of young people in this country.
Universities worry that too many male, pale, and stale experts are studied on degree courses will be able to use an app to decolonize curriculums. A computer program analyzes the authors of reading lists to decipher if a course could be broadened. It is thought to be the first digital tool to give a measure that can be used to decolonize a syllabus. Imperial College London devised a program to assess the geographic distribution of journal authors and the socio-economic status of their country. Times Higher Education website reported.
More importantly, he's hidden his post.
Has he?
Yeah.
Aww.
I didn't get to see all the best stuff.
Aww.
So frustrating.
Its creators say...
This is the sacrifices we make for your trigonometry. I could have spent the last hour refreshing that post and seeing what people are saying.
Its creators say a scrutiny of reading lists is an important tool in understanding who and who is not excluded from academic knowledge. Universities and schools have been criticizing for focusing too much on a traditional canon. I completely agree. Too many white men.
Can't have that. Many have vowed to take a fresh look at the material they teach, not only in English and history, but across science and maths as well. Yes. Why would you try and teach people science using the best history? No, you can't have that. Previous analyses of Western reading lists have found a heavy bias in favor of Western authors. Surprising. Yeah. Really. So the people in a country mainly read about the history of the people in that country.
Yeah, but that's racism.
Yeah, it's true.
Such studies are usually time-consuming exercises involving manually researching titles, authors, or places of publication. The Imperial tool, and they've done this because they bloody nailed the pandemic.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, absolutely.
They were great on the
Shagger Ferguson, top lad.
Kept his boots on while shagging. I don't know if he did it. No, I don't know, but
he could sue us for that. We do not know whether when he was breaking lockdown rules to shag his married Mrs. Lover
is a correct technical term.
We do not know whether he kept his boots on or took them off at that point.
But it makes for an arresting image.
But allegedly he kept them on. We do not know. Gary, the lawyer, has advised us not to be specific on that particular issue. So we can say with some level of confidence that he did shag her with or without his boots on.
Yeah, legend. Good man. Anyway.
All right, so we're decolonizing science now. That's great.
Good.
Yeah.
There's too many colonies in science.
Yeah, there are.
There's huge colonies. Don't like them. Christina, we should fund and improve technical schools and apprentice programs. Instead, couldn't agree with you more.
Well, one of the problems is, and this is something that other countries seem to be doing better, like Germany, for example. The UK is obviously largely deindustrialized itself, right? So it's all well and good. I mean, how many plumbers do you really need? Is the concern, right? Like
after Brexit, a fucking load of them because loads of people have gone home, mate.
Touche, mate. But you know what I mean? Like if you don't have a large manufacturing base in the country, then it's no use teaching people to be apprentices and whatever if there's no jobs for them, right? So it has to be, there has to be some sensitivity to what's actually going on. But the thing is, I think we need to broaden the idea of what apprenticeships are about. I think when we say technical schools and apprenticeships, we tend to think about, you know, manual work. But what about coding?
Yeah.
Do you really need to do a 4-year degree at university to learn to code?
No.
Maybe not. Maybe you need to do 12 months at a school that you're just going to get taught to do that. You know, there's lots of other things. And I actually, my personal opinion, by the way, is that university is broadly, for most subjects, for most people, a complete waste of time.
Bloody good fun though.
Most of the stuff I learned at university could have been taught to me in a 6-month crash course.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but you got stuck in, didn't you?
What do you mean?
You know, just being a lad.
Not really.
Oh, you could have at least gone with it.
No.
Anton, $5. Remember, we love it when fans buy, comment, and post pictures of our sponsors and their products on local. Please don't post any Manscaped pics.
What's he talking about?
Don't know.
Someone pretending to be me.
Someone pretending to be you, but that's not you. I mean, it's a handsome young man, handsome gentleman.
Yeah, it's not you, mate.
It's not Anton.
No, that's not you.
Yeah, good.
Might be.
Could
Might
be.
be, could be.
Could
Who
be.
would you rather have, his face or yours?
Might be.
Oh, that's a man who backs himself. Well done, mate.
Thanks for the $5. Spaceman with a $4.99 says, KK, do you enjoy getting spaced at? Is that a euphemism of some kind? Paul Joseph Watson for a chat. Loving the bigotry. We'd love to get PJW on.
We'd love to get, PJW would be great. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, the left-wing comedians would love it.
Oh, he'd love it. I'll put it up on the Comedy Collective.
Yeah,
that would help.
That would be brilliant.
Ryan Warren with a $5. Thank you very much. Next.
That's it for now.
That is it for now.
That is it. Yes, let's do some flipping retalk. Well done,
yes.
Anton. Let's see what's going on in Retalk. Retalk is our sponsor for this stream. Retalk is a center-right social media platform where you can go on and you can discuss whatever you want to your heart's content. There is no liberal woke bias. It's a great laugh. Go on there and you get threads like this. Here we go. Pre-internet days, what are some of the things you miss about that time? Stick them in the chat. We'll have a little bit of a discussion.
Porn mags.
Right. Really?
Yeah. It was more exciting.
What do you mean it was more exciting?
You know, it was, you had to work for it. The risk, particularly when you're at school, I did tell the story, did I not, about my housemaster nearly catching me with a porn mag that my friend, the legend that is Tom Scott Healy, stole and saved me. Remember I told that story?
Yeah, you did. What's Tom Scott Healy doing now?
Probably still wanking, I don't know.
Yeah.
He wasn't, Tom was a nice guy, but he was never, you know, particularly driven.
Yeah.
He was one of your type of people.
Was he?
He liked eating a lot.
Good.
He was
a good man.
He played prop for the rugby team, but eventually got too fat to even do that.
Okay, and he loved the mag. Now, you know what? Those are two sterling qualities in a human being.
Yeah. But it felt like you had to work for it.
Yeah.
Sex as the blues.
Yeah.
What about you, mate? What do you miss?
What do I miss about that time? Do you know what I miss about that time? Just no social media. It was great. Do you remember those days?
Nah.
No.
I love social media.
No social media.
I love social media.
None of that bollocks. Oh, it was great. Loved it.
I really enjoy social media. I'm connected to 60,000 people on my Twitter who I otherwise would have no connection with.
I mean, there's some of them that you probably wouldn't want that.
Some of them, but most of them are really cool, and I enjoy being connected with them.
Mycroft, sharing pirated recorded tapes. That's a good point. Anton, what's one of your things that you miss pre-internet?
What do you miss?
I like to go missing and no one knows where you were.
That's true. You know what's lovely is leaving your mobile phone at home and then just going for a walk and
Yeah,
just
you can still do that. I do that all the time, Anton.
Do you?
Anton, but I don't ever fucking do that because I need to call you all the time.
Next.
Not even joking. All right, so there we go. That is what we miss about the pre-internet day. So thank you, Retalk, for supporting the show, sponsoring the show. We appreciate it. Check them out. Have a look at the website. It's like Reddit, but without all the woke ninjas totally censoring everything and telling you what you can and can't think. Anton, shall we talk about a new movie? The one that I tweeted about. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about this.
Let's see what the new movie is.
Movie trailer guy voice. This summer, from the makers of Turkeys for Christmas, I give you Queers for Palestine.
Amazing.
This is so great.
This is it. This is brilliant. This is just... I mean, who comes up with this? Who comes up with this?
Queers.
Queers for Palestine. You know what's very interesting with the word queer is that it was actually, it started off as a derogatory term.
Yeah.
And then the first time I ever encountered it, I think it was in 2018,
Yeah.
where I was actually teaching stand-up, and she was actually a very, very nice person. Still a friend of mine. I don't know if she's still a friend because she's probably disowned me publicly, but I still like her. She said, I'm queer. And I'm like, well, what's that? And she went, well, I just like boys and girls. I went, isn't that bi? And she went, no. I went, what's the difference? And then we just both looked at each other. I don't know, mate. I'm too old.
So does anyone know what the difference is between being queer and being bi?
I don't know. What is
You still haven't worked it out?
I don't know what it is. Is queer that you'd like trans people as well? I don't know. It's all very complicated, mate. These are the moments where you feel old. I don't know why I held up some tape. But these are the moments where you feel old as a bloke because you're like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
I don't know what it means either. I've never bothered to explore.
Do you know what?
I'm super straight.
You know, exactly, real fucking man. It's like, there's another person I met. She's a lovely person. She told me she's polyamorous.
Yeah, polyamorous. We've had polyamorous people on the show. Dan Fleischman and Jeffrey.
Yeah, and then she explained to me what it was. And I remember saying to her, Lulu, isn't life difficult enough?
Yeah.
Isn't life difficult enough?
But what if you want to shag a lot of people, though?
They'd just be single and shag a lot of people.
No, but what if you want a relationship and shag a lot of people?
Really? I don't understand. How do you do that? Because there's always going to be one who likes more one than the other. Do you know what I mean? You're always going to have your favourite.
Yeah.
It's like having two biscuits. There's always going to be one you prefer.
You would compare it to food, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it is. So I don't get it, mate.
The bleeder is watching.
Yes.
And
so
she's coming. She said queer means literally anything not straight. Anything at all. So anyone who's not straight, not heterosexual, they're a queer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're a queer.
They're a queer. Oh, queer. Oh man, what is that funny sketch? Who's the
Harry and Paul?
Harry and Paul. Anton, you know what? I think we should play that if we can. It's not that long. They've got a bunch of them. We'll just do one that's like 30 seconds or something. This was brilliant. I think it was in the 90s, early noughties. It made me laugh so much. The Julie Cabral sent us 5 Brazilian reais. Says, hi, bigots. In Brazil, the best universities are public, but they're considered for rich people for being hard to get in. Interesting. Let's maybe not model ourselves on Brazil then. On that particular issue.
I mean, it's good not to model yourself on Brazil on many particular issues.
What about the carnival?
Yeah, that's good fun.
Anton, mute us, would you?
Have you heard of David Cameron?
Yes.
Is he queer?
Well, he certainly looks like a queer, doesn't he?
Oh, he looks like a queer.
And I've heard him on the wireless, and he sounds like a queer.
Oh, it sounds like a queer and he looks like a queer.
But if it sounds like a queer and looks like a queer, I should think he's probably a queer.
Probably is a queer if he looks like a queer and he sounds like a queer. Probably a queer.
If it sounds like a queer, looks like a queer, it's probably a queer, yes.
Sounds like a queer, looks like a queer.
Probably a queer.
Probably is a queer.
Probably a queer.
Probably a queer.
Probably a queer, yes.
Probably a queer.
Probably a queer.
Yeah, probably is a queer.
Cameron the queer, yes. He's married, of course. So this would queer the pitch against him being a queer, even though he looks like a queer.
He does look like a queer, doesn't he?
And he sounds like a queer.
He does sound like a queer.
So even though he looks like a queer and sounds like a queer...
He looks like a queer, he sounds like a queer.
He does. Yes, he does, yes. But he may not actually be a queer, as he's married.
Well, Bunny's married. You're married, aren't you, Bunny?
Oh, yes.
And Bunny's a queer. You're a queer, aren't you, Bunny?
Oh, yes.
Bunny's a queer.
Yes, yes. Well, then I should think this David Cameron fellow probably is a queer.
Well, he probably is a queer.
If he looks like a queer, sounds like a queer, and Bunny's a queer, Cameron's probably a queer, yes.
He looks like a queer, he sounds like a queer, Bunny's a queer. I shall put him down as a probable queer.
Yes. Good.
There you go.
Don't make it like them anymore, do they?
No. Do you reckon that'd get shown on the BBC now, man?
Yeah, I'm sure it would, mate. Absolutely.
would.
I'm sure they'd love about that. Do you reckon that we should submit a revitalized sketch like that?
Yeah, I think we should do.
I think that's
Just
what we
me.
do.
Just you and me, and then we'll put it up on the Comedy Collective with the words, "What do you think?"
Yeah.
Question mark.
Should we submit this to the BBC?
Zolly with a Hungarian, with a huffs, 1,000 of them.
Yeah, Hungarian foreigns.
Yeah.
Don't get too excited, mate.
You definitely don't need to go to uni to code. I'm about to start a 6-month coding course myself.
My
What is
point
it?
exactly, Zolly.
Next. The Julie Cabral. Hi, bigots.
We've read this one.
Oh, yeah, we have indeed.
Malcolm is sent us a 5. It says, polyamorous means you shag parrots.
Excellent use of the punnage there. Arturo Alvarez. Go away. With a 50 bob. Hi, guys. I have to run. But since I know how you Marxists love to strip us of our well-earned money, here your tip. Sorry, but I'll have to watch the recording.
Thanks, Arturo.
Muchas gracias, Arturo Alvarez. Go away.
Mao's hairline
Yeah.
with a 3 quid says, maybe a Julia Hardley bro catch up into, or we had Julia recently.
Yeah, we did. JH to the mother-loving B.
Exactly. Nothing like a bit of JHB.
Next. Lawrence Purse. Does disagreeing with some of Israel's actions make you anti-Semitic?
Of course not.
Of course it doesn't. Not at all. You can criticize a country's actions without saying that you have a dislike for the Jewish people.
Being anti-Semitic, though, that does make you anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And let's talk about a situation that I find fascinating and could hold the key to the future of the EU.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, is it Michel Bon?
It is all about what is happening in France.
Oh,
Oh, well, this is a very, very, very difficult situation.
Barnier's incendiary immigration U-turn betrays the panic gripping the French elite. France's pressure cooker politics can only be fixed by a Brexit-style moment of democratic renewal. Interesting.
Let's see.
Let's scrolly. Alistair Heath says, what is wrong with France, a wonderful country relentlessly let down by its politicians? There is an unmistakable whiff of panic in the Parisian air, a growing sense among sections of the ruling class that France, riven by culture wars, its economy and society in never-ending decline, its housing estates in the banlieues, permanently on the brink, is nearing a tipping point. For all the sneers, Boris Johnson's latest electoral triumph did not go unnoticed. What the more far-sighted intellos ask themselves will be France's equivalent of Brexit, if, or rather when, it finally comes. Will it be another 1961, a failed putsch, 1968, hard left student insurrection, 1981, communist in government, or 1789, a proper revolution, or hopefully something milder, more constructive?
The Gilets jaunes 2 years ago were a false alarm, but how would the rage of La France Profonde manifest itself next time? Emmanuel Macron has admitted that Leave would win a vote on Frexit, though nobody will want to risk one. It's a great shame. France, a country in which I grew up, needs a cathartic reset like Brexit, a political earthquake that is neither hard left nor hard right, but which finally empowers the culturally conservative majority. The country's woes are many. Crime and disorder remain horribly high. Extremist Islamism is rife despite Macron's effort. Racism and tensions between communities continue to traduce France's Republican heritage. The economy has been sluggish for years, weighed down by taxes, a bloated tape, red tape.
A bloated
state. Yeah, that's the one, red tape, militant unions, and a residual anti-entrepreneurialism, ironic because that's a French word. Unemployment is high, especially among the young, and the education system captured by egalitarian leftists is in long-term decline. Sounds like a great place.
Like in the UK, smaller towns, rural areas, and the provinces are in freefall, and economic activity is concentrated in the big cities. I should say Akira Raiku says, as a frog myself, seeing Francis and KK do these accents is killing me. Yet France's crisis is far greater than Britain's, and unlike here, a logjam political system militates against the rational solution. There is no middle France, anti-technocratic but mainstream radical conservative force. The result, extremist parties of left and right enjoy huge support.
The president's latest gimmick has been to abolish the technocratic super school he graduated from, the École Nationale d'Administration, alma mater of swathes of the ruling class. There is just one caveat. He's opening a seemingly identical institution under a new name.
Oh, we need a new one.
Oh,
Get rid of the old, replace
oh,
with
les
the same.
baguettes, les garlic, les oignons.
Hey, have at least some fucking decency and class.
No.
I'm doing the article in accent. You're just doing French stereotypes
Yeah.
about food for no fucking reason.
I wear the stripy jumper with the beret, the little sack of onion on my shoulder.
Take it up the poo-poo.
Yes, with my little mustache like a pito. Beautiful.
That is actually racism, but it's against the French.
So no
it's
one
allowed.
gives a shit because anyway, the vaccine mess has exposed France's bureaucracy as pathetically inadequate and thus further questions its legitimacy. Hilariously, Barnier, the EU's erstwhile Brexit negotiator, believes as he has the answer. Barnier has always been the part of the problem, building an undemocratic Europe and causing untold misery with the euro. Yet he craves rewards for his many failings and fancies himself as president.
In a breathtakingly hypocritical reinvention, Barnier is now calling for the end of all immigration from outside the EU for 3 to 5 years and a rethink of the Schengen Agreement. The end of free movement, basically. The first part is unbelievably extreme, stolen from Marine Le Pen's manifesto. It is not racist to want to control and reduce immigration. Well, you should have thought of that when everybody fucking told us that it was. Mm-hmm. It is racist to want to ban all non-European migrants and only them. It is also absurd. Why not allow exceptions for doctors and entrepreneurs? No Western governments has ever gone this far, and it would be very damaging to go that far. Although ending Schengen is a separate issue, Barnier was probably dog whistling that he would also like to restrict internal EU movement. It would be an astonishing U-turn from a man who claimed to venerate the indivisibility of the single market. When the British wanted to control immigration, he dismissed them as xenophobic. Now that he seeks to tap into France's anger against the system, a total ban on non-EU migrants suddenly becomes a sensible way of tackling terrorism. Never again believe Eurocrats claiming the liberal internationalist moral high ground.
All right, I think we've read enough. You see, the situation in France...
They must be fucking terrified.
...is absolutely fascinating. And it makes me think we should have someone on because that sounds like a powder keg, which could actually bring down the EU.
La France.
Because, here's the thing. Now, at the moment, apparently, Marine Le Pen is a little very short of Macron. But, as always...
Macron is very short.
He is very short. However, as always with these types of politicians, whether it's Trump, whether it's Brexit, whether it's Marine Le Pen, or the Conservatives, they have the shy, what we call in this country, the shy Tory syndrome, where people don't want to admit publicly in polls
that they're racist.
That they're racist, exactly, or and that they're going to vote for these candidates. So what can actually happen is people are so sick and they're so fed up that they might vote for Le Pen in the general election. And if that happens, there will be Frexit. And I reckon France are on the way out.
Well, you know what this is, Francis?
What's it?
I know we're joking around, but this is the breakdown of the globalist international order. Right? The globalist myth was we're all going to trade together and not have open borders and everybody's going to be the same and there's no difference between cultures and countries and we don't need the nation state. And really what the nation state is a way to be xenophobic and racist against other people. And they tried. They tried to keep the lid on the public revolt against that worldview. And now the lid has flown off. Brexit finished that process. The lid is off. And now they're all realizing that you cannot continue to lie to your public for this long, to pretend there are no consequences to large waves of people coming into your country. And, this will be, and this is what really should worry you. If this is France, what do you think is going to happen in Germany? Germany, which had 1 million asylum seekers come in.
Germany have never had a history of problematic politics.
Absolutely not.
Or nationalism.
And this is actually, you obviously, you're referencing the Nazis and the Holocaust and whatever. This is why Germany allowed so many of people like that to come in, is because of the guilt that they feel over World War II and the Holocaust. But what they're doing is they're setting themselves up for another racial conflict because they've had lots of people come in. The evidence is very clear that the number of sexual assaults by foreign people has skyrocketed in Germany, in Sweden, in other places that took that approach. And they're storing up conflicts for the future because this is the problem that people don't understand when they dismiss concerns about mass immigration as racism. People in the West are very welcoming and very tolerant of migrants. They don't have a problem. They welcome them. But the numbers have to be managed in such a way that it does not cause disruption. It does not cause people to be fearful for themselves. It does not cause people to feel like public services are under pressure as a result. And Germany, France, and other countries have completely shat the bed on it. And they're going to pay the price. We all are.
Well, I think what you're seeing is an inevitability. I think what you're going to see is Marine Le Pen winning a general election. I think it's inevitable that France are going to leave the European Union. And what you've seen with Barnier is, like you said, he shat the bed because he realizes what's happened. And they're trying to do a U-turn. But the thing is, like all panic gestures and decisions, they're ridiculous. You can't say you were going to stop all immigration for 3 to 5 years. You can't do it. You simply cannot do it.
You can do it, but it would be very damaging. And this is the point. This is what happens. This is like when you're not feeling well and you ignore it and ignore it and ignore it, and then later it turns out you've got really serious problem, right? Because you've been putting it off and ignoring it for too long, and then you end up with these knee-jerk reactions like, "Oh, we must ban all immigration for 3 to 5 years." It's not a good policy.
No,
it's a very bad policy for a country to do that, and that knee-jerk overreaction is a product of the fact that you haven't done the right thing on immigration for the preceding 20 years.
And it's a weak move because it doesn't look sane, it doesn't look rational, it's not good governance. So your public look at you making those types of decisions and realize you're not in control, you're panicking, and they lose faith in you, and quite rightly.
Yeah, and why would they vote for Michel Barnier over Marine Le Pen?
Yeah.
Michel Barnier has just had a last-minute road to Damascus conversion. Marine Le Pen's been saying all this shit for the whole time.
And not only that, why do they want to stay in? Look, I voted Remain, so did he, because we're good people, right? We know we've got the right opinions. We do. Yeah. That's why you follow us.
Morally right
we're morally right, exactly. But here's the thing. Britain, it was told that, the arse would drop out, we'd have super gonorrhea, we'd have flaky dicks, we wouldn't have sandwiches, right? But here's the thing. We had a global pandemic. Look, I don't like Boris Johnson. I think he's a knob. But you cannot dispute that the vaccine rollout in the UK has been a stunning success. There are people that I know, people in the Netherlands, people in their 70s, who haven't received any vaccines. Germany, France. So you have all the ordinary people in those countries looking at us and going, hang on a minute, we've been sold a dud here. We're told that they were going to sink, but they've vaccinated all their public. They're going to open up pretty soon, and we're still hearing the shit.
Good point, well made.
So I think what you're seeing is a slow and inevitable collapse of the EU, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
Next to leave, if France leave, Italy are out.
Yeah. Disgeneric with a 5 says, no, you need to code good. All the maths and computer theory. There is enough shitty coders already. Stop diminishing my profession. I think, well, look, you'll know more about it, but I think if you went to a school for coding for a couple of years, you'd get a lot more done than you would if you just went to uni. Just saying. Could be wrong. I'm open to be convinced otherwise.
Flashback to the opening of Team America here. Thanks, Pirate Tomsky.
Thank you.
So this is NN.
Yes, we were going to talk about this, Natalia, but we don't have time. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll make sure, bring it up tomorrow if I forget, but it was on our list to talk about and we didn't get around to it. But thank you for the fiver. Ush says, I want to see military dictatorship in France. The military have such verve and panache, the parades would be class.
The military shit, they don't win anything.
But I think that was the point.
Yeah.
That was the joke.
Anyway, are we on the verge of the Lebanization of Europe?
Oh, your grandfather was from...
My grandfather was Lebanese.
Big fan of the JQ, wasn't he?
Oh, he was a big fan. Didn't like him. Anyway, they do great raps. So I hope they do, mate. Have you ever had a Lebanese ship kebab? Oh, they're
great. So Bashabi, we're massively in favour of the rapping of Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love a... Anton, would you like a halloumi rap now? Yeah. They're top level, mate.
Top level.
Would you like a halloumi wrap?
I'm sure that's what Bashabi was talking about.
Yeah, of course he is. Look at him. Of course he is. That's what he was talking about.
Look at him.
Next, Stay York. I didn't think about the temperature of the exploding knob cheese. The bird is lost tonight and I face a lawsuit. Very funny.
Jay Savage with the $10 says, hi from Washington, D.C. Did you know American retired flag officers wrote a similar article saying about the same thing as the French letter written by their generals? Any thoughts? It's Googleable. Well, Jay, I think we better Google it then, but not tonight because we have run out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of every gender and none.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We are back 7 p.m. same time tomorrow for another Raw Show. We will see you then. In the meantime, have a great morning, great afternoon, and a great evening. Take care. And remember, most of all, don't be a bigot.
Exactly. I put that bit in the end because it, made it sound a bit.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.